Hello, I'm Paul Norman. I'm the Executive Director of Neighborhood Place of Puna, and I wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about our program, about our organization, because we're in the middle of the COVID crisis. I'm sitting here on my lanai in front of my world map here. So Neighborhood Place of Puna has several programs. We're a small organization, a small nonprofit that is located in Puna, Hawaii on the Big Island. For those of you who aren't local, yes, there are multiple Hawaiian islands. And our primary programs right now are our family emergency shelter. So this is for families who are experiencing homelessness. They can contact us and we can provide a short-term shelter for them, housing and assistance, and we work with them to help them move into a more permanent housing situation so that they end their homelessness effectively. We also have a family strengthening program. This is for families primarily who are currently housed but who are struggling as parents. Either they need resources, some concrete supports, this could be food, it could be diapers, it could be some assistance negotiating with a landlord if they're on the verge of eviction, but also it includes teaching parenting skills and connecting them to resources either for the parents or the children or the whole family to help them be successful as parents. We also have a professional therapy program. This is a new program. It offers therapeutic counseling on a regular, ongoing basis for free. It offers the option of participating in the therapy through bilingually with the use of Alelo Hawaii or the Hawaiian language. And this is just another way that we can support families. Puna is a small rural community, lacks a lot of resources. There's a tremendous amount of challenges around poverty and access here. And there is a shortage of medical professionals, a shortage of mental health professionals. So this is a program we've added to try and address in some little way that need. And we felt it was particularly necessary during the COVID crisis when families are under a tremendous amount of stress. We also are participating in the CARES Act rent and mortgage assistance program. So this is a program that's intended to help families and individuals remain housed because as a result of the coronavirus crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, they may have lost their job or have reduced employment and may be at risk for becoming homeless. And so we're trying to prevent that through rental and mortgage assistance. In the past, Neighborhood Place of Puna has been really active in disaster recovery efforts, helping to coordinate the nonprofit response to both the Hurricane Iselle, which was in 2014, and the Kilauea eruption, which was in 2018, both very much in Puna, both really impacted this community quite hard. And now, of course, we're involved in the response to the COVID-19 crisis. So, why does Neighborhood Place of Puna do this? Well, our mission is basically twofold. So our mission focuses on families primarily. So this, we help families by bringing them the resources or offering them the resources free. There's free resources, they're voluntary, but we offer them resources to help them be successful as a family, to help the parents be successful, to support the family in ways, in different ways. But you know, but the idea is to make sure that the families have a place to turn to when they need help. And then the other big part of our mission is about building strong community, because families can't be successful in communities that don't have enough resources, where there are no, where there are not enough medical professionals, where there's not enough, where there's too much poverty, where there's too much homelessness, where there's just lack. And unfortunately, this community right now does lack a lot of fundamental resources. There are a lot of barriers that families face. So not only do we work with the families directly in the home or in the community or wherever we can most effectively serve them, but we also try to work with the larger community, collaborate with other nonprofits, collaborate with local government to bring more resources here, to make sure that our community isn't the thing that's pulling the families back, that's holding the families back. Neighborhood Place of Puna started in 2002 as a citizen response to concerns about the high rates of child abuse and neglect in our community. So the Hawaii County, and in particular Puna, has some of the highest rates of child abuse and neglect, confirmed child abuse and neglect per capita in the state. Small population, but high rates of confirmed child abuse and neglect. We also had very high rates of child removal, and as with most of child welfare services across the country, it was disproportionately effective. Children and families from what we call minority groups, and in this case, Native Hawaiian families. What was discovered were there were no resources, or very limited resources for families. There were no places, no nonprofits set up specifically with a prevention model to help families before things got out of control, before child welfare got involved. And so Neighborhood Place of Puna is part of that prevention effort. And right now we're really the only family-focused prevention home visitation program located in the District of Puna. And just so you have a little bit of context, the idea of having a coordinated or systematic response to child maltreatment is really new. So child welfare services or child protective services, called different things around the country, only started in 1974. I mean, there were local efforts, but nationally, it really only started in 1974. And this was a response to some research around what was identified then as the battered child syndrome. So really, it's only been around, a federal coordinated response to child maltreatment has only been around for 46 years. And MPP, as a prevention program outside of child protective services, has been around for 18 of those years. So really the research and supports around preventing or responding to child abuse, child maltreatment is really new. And in that, in some of the recent research, we've really begun to understand the long-term effects of childhood trauma, especially trauma on young children under 5. When they're going through the critical developmental stages, trauma through maltreatment, through insufficient nutrition, through um, inappropriate development, inappropriate parenting, affects the way the child's brain forms. And those are lifelong changes. And we now know that children who experience traumas um, will have lifelong consequences. And these could include, well, they could include health outcomes, so more prone to heart disease, more prone to chronic illness, they're more likely to be smokers, they're more likely to be involved in the criminal justice system, they are going to struggle to maintain long-term employment, long-term stable employment. Children, maltreated children, also more likely to drop out of school, to not finish high school. They are more likely to become pregnant young, to have children very young. And if we don't work with them, you know, they may become perpetrators of neglect on their own children. Children who have been neglected or abused also tend to find themselves as adults in poverty. You know, poverty in the United States is very entrenched, and it's very hard to get out of poverty. Even without the challenges of a childhood history of neglect or abuse. So once you've been, as a child, if you have that history, it's just much, much harder. And really, you know, Neighborhood Place of Puna is looking at families, looking at children, and we are trying to create an environment to support the family so that they can begin to move out of poverty, so that they can be successful as families, so that children can be successful. I know it's so trite to say it, but you know, we really need to break the cycle of family violence, and we really need to break the cycle of poverty that keep our children, our future, from succeeding. So Neighborhood Place of Puna exists to help families, to help children. I mean, children are the innocents. They are deserving of our love, they're deserving of our assistance, and families who are trying under difficult circumstances to raise their children the best they can should be respected and honored and given the supports they need. So that's a little bit about Neighborhood Place of Puna. Thank you for your support. Please do support Neighborhood Place of Puna. You can visit our website at neighborhoodplacesofpuna.org. We'd really appreciate it if you'd support us. And please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a wonderful day. Mahalo.